casting his curse, I get lost different ways, till I skirt leylands where tanks were once made. I'm relieved I've survived it through Preston. Spring lambs bounce around flat fields in the ribble, near two crows ganging up on a baby squirrel. A bee rose takes me over 6 screaming lanes to a scouse bus honking with offensive disdain. In Birkenhead, a statue called Futility shows a man with his head in his hands who sat with a wreath of paper poppies in his lap. The bronze remains dull, although it's sunny. Expecting a veteran, I meet a musician who went to the B.I. Wilfrid School. Only a wall remains where a cruel head caned kids for breaking archaic rules. In his Wolfmobile, he shows me locations. Did you know that a famous poet lived there? The people living inside couldn't care. Then it's back to the Waterstones Museum, hearing how he's adapted poetic rhythm into a Waterstones musical. Near Chester, I rest in a cyclist cafe where a roadie shows me a safer greenway past the cemetery where rows of soldiers filled uniform graves standing to attention. Despite the forecast, there's miles of cold wet stuff, but warm showers greet me in Oswestry for members of the cycling community. There's Welsh birthplace, another statue, an exhibition, a plaque, a park in the church where he prayed, a Wilfrid, lemon and poppy seed cake was made by the librarian, second place in a bake-off. I wait by a country field as cows are unloaded. One runs bellowing, it's separated. In another truck is its baby calf. It's quieter when I reach city grass outside Shrewsbury Abbey, whose bells, when they were ringing, war's end. That's when Wilfrid's mum got news he died. In a pub B&B, I stopped cycling. In the bath, the acoustics sound great being read. Wilfrid Owen by Richard Burton on YouTube before bed. Thank you. That's my little journey with Wilfrid. Got another poem myself, and then we'll do one together. So on a different bike tour, I went off and found out about the history of the 1612 Lancashire witch trials. So between Barrowford and Lancaster Castle, there's 52-mile route, and there's 10 grey markers. Each one has the name of someone executed for witchcraft during those trials, 8 women and 2 men. There are actually more. And each has a verse of poetry on it from a long poem by Caroline Burrows, which is just amazing. And the waymarkers sort of act a bit like gravestones, because if you're executed for witchcraft, you don't get a proper burial. So I was thinking about that quite a lot writing this. But I also did manage to find the grave of someone accused of being a witch near Preston in Woodplumpton. So in this really nice, quaint little churchyard, incarnate. I'm drowned for good measure. My mind is slick with hell-bound saltless tears. Thundering, my fate nears. All others shut their ears and run from death so quickly done, a flash so fast to stun or fry. Lightning strikes where I lie. Strike again, I defy. My earth, which all believed a dearth of life stirs in rebirth. Heaven sends my resurrection with bolts of nitrogen supplies. Seed, root, stem, leaves, I rise. One tiny wildflower kissed by the skies. So now we're going to have some poetry and tuba with John. So this next poem's it's a bit witch connected, because I was in Cromarty country where my friends live, and there's a stone called the Hitching Stone, which the folklore behind it is that a witch lived on a hill and she did not like this stone, so she hitched it up and flung it to where the next county is. So that stone's not native of that area, so it's called erratic in stone language. And if you're not of an area, up here you're called an incomer, but in Yorkshire you're called an off-Cumden. So you need that piece of vocabulary for this poem. And this is called A Woman Walks Up to the Hitching Stone on Her Own. Yorkshire friends give me a lift up the tops where they drop me and my bike below. Near monumental salt and pepper pots, I start my search for a less chiseled stone. Google guides me to a fence by a farm. I park my two tarmac loving wheels there, lift the latch, step from gravel to grass, met by 3 short sheep that just stare. They bleed, they bolt, but I'm jittery too. What if there's a bull? I nearly backtrack. The sheep skirt a muddy gash in the earth. I follow and cast from their look back. The clumpy ground's carpeted with green stars, found the moss on a bog. Will I get stuck? Then there's long grass and me in long shorts. Does Lyme disease lurk from tights that suck? Though it's downtrodden, some grass is lighter. My friends taught this of Cumden how to see the narrowest of hints for finding my way. I follow faint footsteps tentatively, so I don't tumble down drainage ditches or gnaw on proverbial rabbit holes. The prescribed route is an obstacle course, a morass of moorland bound by fence poles. farmer, a weirdo. A distant shade interrupts the skyline. I squint. It's a tree. I turn face the right way between bulging grey skies and soaring greens. It stands on uplands, clear as a clear day. But first there's an angry wire waist high. I clamber over one bit that's far free to then find a rambler's gate further on that would have made this part less cross country. Slick rocks masquerading as steps or next. I go slowly, my boots have metal cleats, and I manage not to slip and get to the top, where my eccentric wandering sense meets the erratic grit of the hitching stone, the huge glacial blocks of mystery, body sized with a gap like a window. Why is it here? The same can be said of me. My brave return to civilization is met by more than the sheep's weary stare. A step through the threshold, click the gate shut, the farmer shouts, "You can't leave your bike there." John's doing a wee bit of solo tuba without a poet layering over the top of him now.
Yeah, thank you. Can you all hear me without the mic? No. Oh, you can. Okay. I'm going to play a piece now by Sir Edward Elgar, and he was a very prolific English composer, as you probably know, and he wrote all kinds of stuff, from major orchestral works with choral accompaniment through to very, very tiny little salon pieces, like the one I'm going to play. And this was originally written for solo violin with piano accompaniment, and it was dedicated to his then fiancée, and it was called Salut d'amour, or Salute to Love. And I came upon a version of it during the COVID, that awful time, and there was a lovely chap called Yo-Yo Ma, Chinese-American cellist who lives in New York, and he decided in his isolation and shutdown that he was going to comfort us in our world of fear and trepidation by taking little YouTube vignettes of himself playing in his apartment and to cheer up the world. And he did a solo transcription of this for solo cello, and I heard it and I thought, well, that's quite a tranquil piece, and I thought, if he can do it with all his millions of followers, I'm going to have a go on my bass hooter for my tuba. And so I transcribed it for tuba, which was what I did. But another thing about Edward Elgar, if you go to Hereford Cathedral, you'll see a bronze statue of Sir Edward in a very prominent place in front of that cathedral, and it's all spotlit and so on. And it's beautifully made, and you'd think that he might be standing there with a music score or with a conductor's baton or something of this kind, but he's not. He's sitting astride his bicycle. And you might know that Edward Elgar, he was a very, very, very enthusiastic amateur cyclist, and he gained inspiration for many of his compositions by riding hundreds of miles through the bucolic lanes of Herefordshire, Gloucestershire and Worcestershire. And there he is astride his old brush bicycle with his plus fours and all this, and he looked great. So if you like bicycles as well, you can think about that. Salut d'amour, and think of all of those lovely people that you love too. How about that? You probably recognise the tune.
The choir of Cairo Terran show, they all have faith, they all let go. Round and round the cloisters they sing, black shadows fleeting, fluttering, their hymns beyond what humans know. With faith their own way, they let go. Except one's landed unfounded, its worlds downside up and grounded. A pub's wrong location echo has lost faith in where it should go. But healing hands lift the pub up, blue medical gloves envelop, it inhues, its eyes do not know. Faith exhausted, it won't let go. It clings to fingers paternal, which encourage flights supernal. But the bat gives it silent no. It's lost faith in how to let go. Our group makes its own Kyrielle, a liaison for up at Bestrel, sung for the back pump in limbo. Please, give it the faith to let go. Misguided, for now it holds on, as our unanswered orison leaves us incommunicado. In good faith, we can't let it go. In this sanctuary of earthlings, sequestered the maternal wings, knows all our hands link to help grow, faith in the act of letting go. The bat is placed for safekeeping in a box to rest while sleeping, till it rehears voices alto, sing with their faith soaring, let go. In the same cloisters the next week, one tiny bat shadow I seek, I find as above, so below, and keep the faith, that's it, let go. This is the mental health section. So these next two poems is one for me and one for John, come with a wee bit of a trigger warning to do with mental health. One of my first commissions ever was the Glenside Hospital Museum in Bristol, which is the history of mental health care, and it shows the progression of how things have improved. So in isolation, a padded jacket looks really horrible, but before that I was manacled, so it shows everything and how it is up to present day. So it's obviously a topic that's close to me. So this next poem is about when I take antidepressants, and at one point I had a cut in the antidepressants and it triggered a sort of depressive episode. So this is about that moment really. It's called I Heard a Bird. I heard a bird, but couldn't hear what it said. My window was shut, I put my ears to bed. My eyes swelled red when I saw the bee. I closed the curtains, wondering how it stung me. Rain dripped on my tongue from clouds in the ceiling. I shut my mouth, it tasted of nothing. I touched a hand, my palm held something empty, which read like a book of futures too heavy. That's when the spider crawled down my spine, it hung from its rope, the end of the line. A thought tried to form, but dissolved in old air. I was hermetically sealed from what was out there. The bluebell in its glass, with no hope of rebirth, forgot its fragrance, disconnected from earth. The bird returned, pecked a crack, formed a skylight. It sang, just listen, you will be all right. Thank you. Tuba. All of this happened in the same day, so it was kind of remarkable how it happened. It's another mental health poem, and it's to do with what happens on the bridge here and what happens on every bridge around the world. So it can be a bit triggering for some people in case anyone doesn't want another mental health poem. But really it's carrying a sort of message of communication and hope. So it's called The Bridge. In a house on the south side, a new friend makes a comment about the folks who end themselves via that bridge, via the Verb. He isn't unkind, he talks of rebirth. He doesn't joke, or say the word jumper, or moan of getting stuck bumper to bumper, of having to diver around the long way about the inconvenient delay. understand, who then give someone else a helping hand. That bridge connects more than the north and south. It's formed by words spoken with a kind mouth. Just in time to hear Peter Rake's group tune. You thought you were going to be late, didn't you? in concord with avians. The birds lift as one, unified beings. Your seeds fly free in spinning rotations, and ash saplings greet starlings for generations. So this next part I used to introduce as the love section, being a poet. But my good friend, who is not sat right in front of me right now, pointed out that it's the heartbreak section and not the love section. She might have a point. So, this one is set within in a bookshop of sorts. I was entangled with a musician, and he told me that the irony of ever writing a song about anyone is by the time it's recorded and released that the relationship is over. But that does give a poet material for her poem, which then gets chosen for the Caroline Trust website, which is a good one, and much better than the relationship ever was. So, all's good, everyone's a winner. So this makes mention of Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes a little bit, because she's one of my favourites, he is not. Here we go. Heartbroken and hungover in Oxfam. Neither, as Sage states, to be in amongst the shelves where I bought you that book, the one about guitars and Zen. I browse what's now called pre-loved poetry, while a song makes me feel tortured. Donated Juliet is in dire straits. Everything in here is unwanted. I find a napkin in my bag, just in case the rising tide of tears overflow, as each book mocks me with cruel verses I read differently not long ago. I fight the urge to rip out the pages, scrunch them up and set them alight. Such behaviour in a charity shop might feel good, but wouldn't be right. I scan for editions by Sylvia Plath. None. Her works don't get regifted, but 2 copies of Crow perch on the rose. Ironic, texts get discarded. To try and distract myself to not cry, on the napkin I write in a scrawl, 'cause the notebook you gave me with roses on, I shut out of sight in a drawer. Back home, I transfer this into that notebook. Poetic justice, don't you think? The dam breaks, the rose pages get watered, and black petals are made from blurred ink. Thank you. We're going to finish with these 2, and they're both Poetry Tuba combined, the thing that you didn't know you needed in your life.
Never get involved with a musician.
Oh, and I didn't say, and we're not involved, so just, yeah. We met when I had my touring bike, and I was at Lancaster train station, and I had a fully pannier touring bike. I was going off to find stone circles for three nights, so as you do. And this strange man walked up and said, "Do you need a hand getting your bike on the train?" And I said, "Yes, please," because that's always difficult. And then this strange man said, "I've just cycled around the Mississippi with a tuba." And I said, "Well, we should sit down then and have a conversation." And that is how we had a sort of agreement on the train before I got off to go and find various stone circles that we would one day do again. So it took us a year and a half, and we had the first one at Cromarty Arts Trust, and then we did Belladrum last week. So that. Don't talk to strange men, or do.
Because you might find that in 2023 they rode the entire length of the Mississippi River, towing a trailer, tuba in a trailer behind a recumbent tricycle, and it took me 150 days to go from 65 miles south of New Orleans to the headwaters of the Mississippi River in 23. And I'm going back to America next year, so that's it.
bad decisions, and that I had to take some of the blame in these relationship choices. So during one winter solstice, I lived in a house in Bristol with the landlord, and he thought I'd lost my mind because I was sitting in the garden in the dark with a candle and a woolly bonnet on, doing a ritual, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong in romantic relationships. He was watching Coronation Street. So I stared at this candle and I thought, what do I take care of? Because I don't take care of my heart. And then I thought, I take care of my bicycle. So this is a self-help poem about that. breeze. When others choose to run red lights, those warning signs it sees, my bike's not thrown off balance by bearings such as these. Good whales are the ones that stay true, my bike accepts no less. Loose spokes warp, twist and dissemble despite what they profess. It steers clear of tension, seeking spokes snap from excess stress. So if Cupid's arms pierce tires with his bad aims, I'll now fix flats and ride away far from his funless games. Tires filled with breath of fresh air support both their frames. I'll apply this bike's psychology next time love tries to strike. It shows my mind, body and soul what real love should feel like. I'll know who's right to share life cycles with if I treat my heart like my bike. So having been led to believe that my boyfriend could darn and weave, I asked for a night-long session to give my old socks a freshen. His response delivered great shocks. Oh no, my mum repairs my socks. What? Oh no, my mum repairs my socks. Sorry? No, my mum repairs my socks. I gave him a look of dismay. That's when our love began to fray as he tried and failed to defend his false thought of being due and meant to match my views. I didn't know as a tactic used on the had time for my feet to depart. Holy socks and broken heart. I find true ways for me to darn without being spun in stab yarn. It gives my mum something to do that I'm from a man age 52. Those socks of mine travel far to a welcoming Highland bar. Proper sessions in that pub. elsewhere, a lunchtime knitting hub of local women intertwined to craft, while others supped and dined. Their group made things with skill and flair, not one sun socks could I see there, as each brand new week came and went, and I repaired each holy event. Now my footwear's visible friends I wear, with self-sufficient treads.